Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Today, brief sports discussion. So ultimately, going to have you post, going to have you kind of profile a movie, if you will, and participate in a discussion with your classmates here temporarily. I'm going to go over this PowerPoint with you. I realize some of you will choose not to watch, and that's okay. But at least a handful and a half of you do enjoy the videos. So I'm going to go over this PowerPoint. Parts of this are taken from encyclopedia.com, an online encyclopedia, was used as a reference here. All the images are kind of films with which I'm familiar. We'll talk about some of those. So here we have Million Dollar Baby, Longest Yard, Bring It On, or maybe Bring It On Again. We got some Charlie Sheen action here and the Mighty Ducks. Some good flicks there. Patterns in sport. First, we start with silent film, which obviously didn't allow for that motivational speech, Hey, what are you, a girl or something? This is from Due Date, pretty rated R, but pretty hilarious. Not a sport film, but an illusion nonetheless. Race, self-reliance, history is made by individuals. The beauty of sport films is if they so choose, they can tackle race straight on, okay? And I'll give you some examples of this here in a minute. But a big part of sport films with regard to history is this battle with racism. And again, we'll go over some examples here in just a little bit. Another pattern we see is self-reliance. What can I as an individual do to help? We talked about this a little bit when we did the Ocean's 11 unit. What is my role? How can I help my team? And then a huge idea is history is made by individuals. So even though teamwork is expected, the individual is the person who truly makes history. Think about all the great sport movies that we've seen. Yes, they're on teams, but in many cases, it's that coach, right? It's that coach who breaks down those walls, or it is that star player who inspires others to follow in his or her footsteps. Middling player never really makes the game-winning basket. It's either the superstar or the little kid on the bench who's put in to foul the other team, or, it's just the only guy left. So generally presented realistically, but middling players generally not the hero. Boxing movies have made more money, and there are more of them than any other sport. Think about boxing too. A lot of you know I hate the word literally, but boxing we can look at figuratively as well as literally here. A boxer literally gets knocked down and gets back up, which in these types of movies, fighting movies, a lot of times we have individuals at long odds. They are fighting life battles, whether they be social, personal, financial, social identities, ability to overcome things. And if you think about boxing and fighting movies, generally the person is an underdog in life and maybe also in boxing itself. But these films beautifully emphasize self-determination. Do not give up. So I think that it is that kind of neat, poetic, get knocked down and you get back up again in life, also literally, right, off the mat, if you will. Kind of a big part here, and we alluded to this just a little bit ago, but prior to the Civil Rights Movement, African Americans played only secondary or complementary roles. There were a couple films or a handful of films made strictly for a black audience, so those would be featuring black actors and actresses and targeting black audiences, because prior to the Civil Rights Movement, we did not have African Americans in these types of films. Interestingly enough, the National Basketball Association, according to a lot of people, it was huge in changing this. So we have Muhammad Ali, and then after him, we have Michael Jordan, who comes in. He's this polarizing figure. And the NBA forever changed race in sports. Over 80% of NBA players are black. In the 1990s, shortly after Michael Jordan comes into the NBA, we're huge in establishing a new norm. So now you think about, from that point forward, all the black African-American actors and actresses cast into these roles, playing these characters with regard to sport films and race. Gender. Generally, and this isn't to say that women don't enjoy sport movies. I hope that most of you do, or today is going to be a brutal discussion for you. But generally, hero is male. There are exceptions. Million Dollar Baby, I referenced earlier, Clint Eastwood, Hilary Swank, Morgan Freeman, won lots of Academy Awards, I think like 5. And it is absolutely fantastic. If you have not seen Million Dollar Baby, you should watch it. 10 Cups of Golf movie, that's a good one. A really strong female character there. And then Love and Basketball is another one that's two main African American actors there. Kind of does the same thing. So there are exceptions where we will have a female hero or at least a very strong female character. But generally, sport films target a male audience, and therefore masculinity is stressed. Just give you some examples here of some of these categories. So we talked about boxing earlier. We talked about fighting. Here we have Christian Bale lost like 80 pounds to play this role in Fighter. We have all the Rocky films. Southpaw is just really, really raw. Jake Gyllenhaal fans. I know I've talked some of you in class about this one. Really, really. I mean, that guy he can act. And then Warrior, you have Tom Hardy, and I always forget the other guy's name. Looks like Joel Edgerton. They're kind of fighting to get back their father, unite their families, so on and so forth. So you look at these different fighting and boxing roles, and all these people are fighting for different things, whether it's to remain relevant, whether it's for Adrian, right? Whether it is to get your daughter back, and whether it is to reunite a family or take care of social and financial needs. Oftentimes, sports are an escape. So these are coach-led films in which Gridiron Gang, for instance, pretty good movie actually. The Rock is he's working at a prison, and he's trying to keep these kids, as he says, off the streets once they're released from prison, and he unites this largely African American football team together, teaching them life lessons through the game of football. Can you say hi? Yeah, that's Myra. The Blind Side. Most of you have probably seen or you're aware of that. Really good one, Sandra Bullock there. My mother used to think that it was about a blind football player, which you can't play left tackle if you're blind. And then Hardball is a good one. One of you referenced this in class. And Keanu Reeves, he's in trouble, I believe, a gambling debt, among other things. He gets kind of on probation, and his punishment is he has to coach this group of young baseball players, I believe, in inner city Chicago. And it's really, really good. And you kind of see how he, as a character, changes throughout the movie. And there are a lot of really funny and profane using little black kids. So Hardball, highly recommend that one, especially if you're a fan of Keanu Reeves. Okay, stop bug. Defeating Racism, Changing a Culture. Coach Carter, the movie 42, and Remember the Titans. These are all films that say, look, we have racial issues. There is a racial divide here, and we're going to take this straight on, and we are going to fight it. Okay, we are going to change a culture through this sport, through coaching a group of individuals. We have romantic comedies and just straight up comedies in sports here. Talladega Nights, Blades of Glory, and then Tin Cup I referenced earlier. Certainly a romantic comedy worth a watch, especially if you enjoy golf or Kevin Costner, Rene Russo, even at all. Sport films based on true happenings. Brad Pitt, Moneyball, Rush, Muhammad Ali, Will Smith plays him. I forget the year that was released. And then Miracle. If you haven't seen Miracle, you should absolutely watch Miracle. That should move to the top of your list. Fantasy dramas. Field of Dreams, Space Jam. If you believe it, you can do it. That type of thing, right? Fantasy dramas and sport films. Teenage audiences. So these are just a couple that I pointed to. One, when I was a young chap that was very popular, was Varsity Blues. And then Never Back Down is certainly aimed at kind of an MTV generation audience, this fighting movie, right? Friday Night Lights, one of my personal favorites, just for nostalgic purposes here. Here's Ricky Bobby's father, Reese. If you aren't first, you're last. Famous words there. And then, I don't really know how this got here, but Blake Lively wanted you to know that she's a big fan of watching sports movies as well. When we're together for this, we kind of watch parts of, or in some cases, an entire movie, and just kind of talk about the patterns that we see in sport films. So here, kind of to close here, four of my favorites. In the discussions today, I don't care what movie you select. If you want to go ahead and rewatch it, feel free as you're participating in this discussion. But that's our sports unit, folks. I'm going to pop up a discussion, and keep in mind, just as a reminder, that final, don't try to do that in an hour. I think that would be very difficult. You will need to have access to both a physical copy or an online version of the novel, as well as the film. All right, folks. So reach out with questions. Hope you enjoy the sport discussion. Keep up the great work. We'll see you later.